PCN is brought to you in part by the following underwriters.
Welcome to PCN. I'm Brian Sullivan.
And I'm Maureen Boyle.
This week we stop into No Place for Hate's annual Martin Luther King Jr. Coffee House.
We meet a talented Pembroke High School student who recently was honored by the Plymouth Phil, and we talk accreditation with the Duxbury Police Department.
We stop by the Plymouth Waterfront Village Master Plan Forum, and we have a new Treasury Notes with Tom O'Brien, Plymouth County Treasurer.
But we start tonight's program at Duxbury High School. Duxbury High School has a new principal, but he's no stranger to the Duxbury school system. After serving for a number of years as an educator and eventual assistant principal, Jim Donovan is navigating his way through the subtle and not so subtle changes of becoming the school's top administrator.
Duxbury High School means a lot to me. The community means a lot to me, and I've spent my entire professional career here, so it is as I said in the statement, it's just an incredible honor, and I'm very humbled by the opportunity. We have a tremendous community here. We have a community of teachers that is second to none. We have a supportive community of parents and kids who are very motivated to be successful in life. And our job as a high school is to give them the opportunities to learn, to be challenged by that learning, so that they're prepared for the challenges that meet them when they leave here. The biggest difference is I'm one step further removed from the kids. As a teacher, all day long you spend your day with students, and as assistant principal you have a different role, but you still have a lot of interaction with students. As principal, that step is a little bit harder for me to get the block by block contact with kids. I miss that, and I have to. It's one of the challenges I have every day, is to make sure I get out and spend time with students and spend time with them in their classrooms. I want to make sure my responsibilities are, my primary focus is making sure that our students have the most exciting, engaging, challenging, meaningful learning experience every period of the day. And so my work is to make sure that our teachers have the abilities and have the tools and have the time to prepare to make that happen. And so that's the most important thing I do. The second part is when I meet and interact with students and parents, it is for very important scenarios, issues. And my responsibility is to treat them, to hear them out, and to make sure that we come to a decision on whatever the resolution is that is in the best interest of students. And that's really the most important thing. Everything I do has to be in the best interest of our students and their learning. And everything, all day long, has to do with that.
No Place for Hate recently held its annual Martin Luther King Jr. Coffee House at the Church of the Pilgrimage in Plymouth. PCN stopped in for some coffee and music and had to hear about why the community plays such an important role in the group's mission.
No Place for Hate is a committee that falls under the town's local government, so the Board of Selectmen appoints members. We have 13 members on the committee right now, and we do a variety of community events trying to bring people together and counter hate. And whenever there is a reported hate crime in Plymouth, we make sure to work with the local police, with the local schools, and reach out to that individual or individuals and make sure that they understand that hate is not welcome here in Plymouth. The No Place for Hate Committee works very closely to the ideals promoted by Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., all the ideals that he struggled and gave his life for to see implemented in this country. We work with people from all over the community, no matter race, religion, sexual orientation, gender, what have you. and we are very inclusive, and we work to bring people together and use love rather than hate, just like Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. said. In the last year or so, we have had quite a few events that we have taken upon ourselves to organize based on feedback we've had from various community members of topics they think would be helpful to bring people together, whether it's kind of about dispersing information or it's just literally about bringing people together from around the town. So we've been really active this year, and I think that's been a great thing and something to be very proud of in Plymouth. We hosted a coffee house here at the Church of the Pilgrimage, and it was an event designed to bring people together, especially in celebration of the birthday of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. It was called Standing on the Side of Love, and the idea was to have a family event, bring people together over music, hot and cold drinks, snacks, and just enjoy spending a winter evening together indoors. And we also had some fundraising on the side for No Place for Hate Committee, as we are launching an award that will go to a Plymouth North student and a Plymouth South student in recognition of any work they've done in the local community to counter hate. I thought the event went really well. We were actually a little worried because it was the same night as a Pats playoff game, but we had a nice turnout, and it was just a very relaxing evening. A lot of support for No Place for Hate Committee, which we greatly appreciated, and it was also great music. We were really impressed with the live music we had for the night.
Sydney Alfano, a junior at Pembroke High School, recently received the Plymouth Philharmonic Orchestra Music Scholarship. She plans to study music education when she goes to college, and PCN stopped by to meet this talented musician.
Sydney Alfano's teacher at Pembroke High School says she has a passion for music.
Sydney is like a big musical sponge. She just soaks it all in.
Sydney plays the trumpet and started lessons 6 years ago.
Well, I started lessons in 5th grade with Mr. Hawes and quickly moved to private lessons with Dan Lasdow, and that's when I really fell in love with it.
When she's not studying or doing homework, the Honors AP student fills her time with music.
Here at the high school, she is in the jazz band, she's in the marching band, she is in the wind ensemble. She has played in the concert band in past years. She's been in the freshman band. She's in a school brass quintet.
And outside of the high school, I'm in a brass quartet. I'm in the Massachusetts Youth Wind Ensemble concert band through New England Conservatory. I got to join the Met Wind Ensemble for their student-involved concert. And for the My Wee concert band that I'm in currently, we got to perform in Jordan Hall, which was really fun. Over the summer, I'm involved in the Situate Band all year long. It's a community band based in Situate. It's got people from middle school age all the way to retired. And I also participate in South Shore Conservatory's Summer Music Festival, their wind ensemble and jazz band. And I also go to Foxborough for a jazz camp, where Mr. Massey runs it, Steve Massey. Yeah, I really worked hard there to get better. That's a lot.
Music has allowed Sydney to travel, perform, and compete in different places.
I audition for SEMSPA and District every year. I've gotten in almost every year. And I recently got an all-state recommendation. Last year we went to New York for a competition with the concert band and the wind ensemble that I was in. The year before that, we went to Six Flags for Music in the Parks.
Sydney received the Plymouth Philharmonic Orchestra Music Scholarship, which is awarded during a student's junior year to help improve their chance of getting into a college music program. Sydney hasn't decided where she wants to go to college yet, but she wants to major in music education.
This is the largest scholarship that I've ever seen a student at our school get. $2,500 to further her music education.
Her teacher, who wrote her recommendation letter for the award, says they don't get students like Sydney very often.
I was trying to think about if I had any other students in my 15 years of teaching similar to Sydney and how hard she works. And I have to go all the way back to 14 and 15, my first and second years of teaching when I had a student make All-State, and just their work ethic.
Sydney will be recognized at the next Philharmonic Orchestra concert on April 28th at Memorial Hall in Plymouth. Reporting for PCN in Pembroke, I'm Walter Cichetti.
I think we may have to follow up on this story.
I think so. I mean, she's so accomplished already at such a young age, and I mean, I hope she gets in wherever she wants. But I also have to say, kudos to her parents, because I'm sure they bring her to all these camps and lessons, and like it takes, you know, being a young musician or anybody, a young artist takes, the parents are very much involved with.
I didn't even think of that.
Yeah.
Because these kids are doing all this stuff before they even get their license. Who's taking them around? They're not going on their bikes.
Yeah. So kudos to the parents, definitely, and congratulations to her, of course.
The MPAC, or Massachusetts Police Accreditation Commission, establishes standards to follow for police agencies in the Commonwealth. The standards range from making sure the facility is up to fire code to making sure police reports are completed and stored correctly. There are a lot of benefits that come with being accredited for both citizens and police agencies. We went to Duxbury to meet the Chief of Police, who's also the president of MPAC, to learn more.
It's no secret that police agencies across the country have been under intense scrutiny lately. Here in Duxbury, the town's police chief is a believer in transparency and is the president of the Massachusetts Police Accreditation Commission.
The Mass Police Accreditation Commission initially was a state agency. Governor Weld, back in '96, signed an executive order creating it under the Executive Office of Public Safety. The commission in 2004 was the victim of budget cuts, and a number of police executives here in Massachusetts at that point reformed the organization as a professional organization, a nonprofit.
The accreditation process consists of two major components. The police agency must first establish professional standards to meet, and then allow for a voluntary assessment process. When the agency meets the standards considered best practices, they can be publicly recognized. There's two levels in the accreditation process: certification and accreditation.
Mainly we follow the lead of the National Accreditation Commission, CALEA, which is the Commission on the Accreditation of Law Enforcement Agencies. They publish a standards manual on a national basis, and they issue revisions from time to time.
What does it take to become accredited, you ask? The police agency must meet 257 standards and a percentage of the optional 125 standards, based on the size of the agency. The agency must also achieve certification before becoming accredited by meeting 159 mandatory standards.
As the local police chief here in Duxbury, we speak about sort of the environment of policing over the last few years. It's been very tough. Lots of challenges, lots of questions. And frankly, this is the only means that I see available to me as the police chief to assure my community that their local police department is in tune with following the national standards, the best practices in law enforcement, and that we're inviting people in on a recurring basis to come in and to test us to ensure that we're in compliance with that. I think that residents deserve that.
What the assessors do, they review the policies. There are checklists that are set forth as assessment checklists by the commission. Not only do they just make sure that the agency actually has the policy, they want to make sure they're actually following through. They need to show proof that they're actually putting these into practice. Usually on average, you would get 3 assessors, and they would take about 3 days to complete the whole process. The assessors themselves are actually from different agencies within the state, and them themselves, they're actually going through the same process. So as you can see, it's the best police practices among their peers. We just forward our recommendation to the commission as far as whether we believe that the agency actually passed the assessment. It is totally up to them as far as to review those.
There are 211 agencies in the program between municipal departments and academic departments. 75 agencies have become accredited, and Duxbury is one of them.
So at the department level, we have monthly meetings to review 10 to 15 policies every month.
The Duxbury Police review department policies frequently to make sure they are compliant with the accreditation standards and are ready to be assessed every 3 years. Reporting in Duxbury for PCN, I'm Walter Cichetti.
The time has come again for a new update of the Plymouth Center Waterfront Area Master Plan. For this update, the town invited residents to an open house at Memorial Hall to show them what has been achieved since 2004's master plan and to ask the community for input going forward.
With Plymouth, master planning really started in 1980 when we adopted what's called the Village Centers Plan. We identified 5 village centers in the community. And from time to time over the last 20 years, we've looked at each village center and developed an individual master plan for each of those villages that are consistent with the overall master plan for the entire town. The last time we looked at Plymouth Center was about 13 years ago.
Tonight we are having an open house for the public to participate in trying to shape the goals and kind of actions that should be considered for an update of the Plymouth Center Waterfront Area Master Plan. The town has a program of updating the master plans for each village center. It is Plymouth Center's turn, and we thought it would be a wonderful opportunity to ask people to come in and help us think about what the future of the downtown area should be.
Because this is the real center of Village, where a lot of the history and historic elements are, and a lot of the cultural aspects right now are, this is probably the most important village to have outreach to all the community, to get everybody's involvement, and that's what tonight is. It's an open house, it's an outreach for the community to come and listen, give ideas, talk about things that they'd like to see in the master plan as we update it, things that they're interested in, things they're concerned about, anything they have to offer. And that's why we really want the community to be involved in this process. And this is one of our first stages of the update of the master plan is community outreach.
So now, as we've cycled through all the village centers once, now we're coming back, starting with Plymouth Center, and we'll go through the other centers as we, year by year as we complete one. So right now we're starting the cycle new to start again with Plymouth, and then we'll cycle through the other 4 village centers once this one's complete.
Right now, to the extent that we're talking about potential actions here, it's really a brainstorming exercise, whereas toward the end of the plan, you've kind of done a lot of brainstorming, and now you want to get a sense of, did we hear you? When you came to our first open house, when you came to other meetings, did we hear you accurately? Are these actions that we're proposing for housing, for economic development, for transportation, for public facilities, for natural resources, for open space, are all of these actions that we're talking about resonant for you as a resident or a business owner?
My goal would be a very large turnout, and sometimes that's difficult, and particularly difficult in the middle of winter and cold weather. The other thing would be to, again, get some good feedback from the community about what's most important and what would they like to see downtown Plymouth, the waterfront, look like in the coming 5 to 10 years.
And we're back with Treasury Notes with Plymouth County Treasurer Tom O'Brien. Thanks for joining us, and Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you, Brian. It's great to see you and a fresh face. I was going to start with a quick quiz and have you name all 27 communities in Plymouth County, but that's not fair, so we won't do that. I know you have some questions for me.
I know 25 of them.
You know 25 of them? Yeah, Mattapoisett and Rochester always throw people off.
All right, so we are talking about bulk purchasing. And for those who don't really understand bulk purchasing, just give me a quick rehash on what that is.
It's one of the services that Plymouth County and the other regional governments provide, Barnstable County, Bristol County, and Norfolk County, to our member units. And it's really an opportunity for us to effectuate economies of scale. So think of it as the BJ's or Costco of shopping for governmental municipal services and products, goods and services. So it's really an opportunity to get reduced prices on things that you use every day. And so we reach out to our communities, we offer these services, and really hope to save them money and sometimes time in their staffing.
Well, that makes sense. So let's talk about the first big item on here is a vehicle bid. Kind of talk to me about that and explain it a little bit.
It's one of our bigger programs. Actually, I think it's probably our biggest program. And what we do is we provide a vehicle bid for our member communities. Actually, it's been expanded to cover some of the other New England states as well. So we have folks from Rhode Island that are part of our vehicle bid, folks from Vermont that are part of our vehicle bid, folks from New Hampshire that are part of our vehicle bid. And really what it is an opportunity for a municipality to pay us a small administrative fee. It's $200 to be part of our bid process. And once you've become part of our bid process, any any municipal vehicle, predominantly police vehicles is what we're doing right now, you get to purchase at a discount through our program. It's been wildly successful. We've worked with a number of the local municipalities. They've saved, by our estimate over the last 2 years, combined close to $750,000 in purchasing through our program. So it's really an opportunity for them to save money. It was interesting, Brian, because one of the police chiefs wanted to make sure ours was the best. There are other programs out there. Right. What he found out after doing some research was that not only was ours the best, it effectuated the most savings. So it's been a real successful program, not just for the county. We really provide this as a service to our municipalities, but to those that participate.
Now, we're talking about fuel oil as well. That's a pretty big thing, especially now in the cold winter months.
Absolutely, and people sometimes don't think, well, maybe I could get a better deal on my fuel oil. I mean, think of a large community, whether it's the city of Brockton or even, Hingham, a large community, a large area. They have different municipal buildings that need fuel oil. Right. And sometimes they go out and purchase that on their own, and they may get a bit of a discount because if you're a community, you may have to purchase fuel oil for your schools or your town hall or your senior center, and so you combine those together and they get a discount on the price. Well, imagine if you combined all of those from Plymouth County together, what you could get for a deal. So we put a bid out to the street to companies that provide fuel oil, and they respond to that bid and give us a quoted price. Brian, I was shocked because the commissioners, the Plymouth County commissioners, have to vote to approve that bid. We just did that at their last meeting, and the reduction that you get by participating in our fuel oil bid is so significant. In fact, there were a number of folks sitting in the audience and like, can we buy directly through the Plymouth County fuel oil bid? Unfortunately, the answer is no. Right. You have to be a governmental entity or a municipality to participate. But I do encourage folks that are watching, and whether you're just a member of your community or sitting on one of your boards, and you think to yourself, hey, I wonder if we could get this cheaper. People don't think, well, maybe I should call Plymouth County and see if they could do it or are already doing something. So we really want them to think of us as that possibility to do some of this bulk purchasing that we're talking about.
And we're talking some major savings here. Like with the fuel oil, what are we talking about for savings?
Yeah, so an individual community can save as much as $5,000 to $10,000, which is pretty remarkable when you think about it. We know that our communities struggle for every dollar that they have in tax revenue. Yeah. They understand that their citizens value what services are provided, but they also want a bang for their buck. And we like to think that's what we provide, a real bang for your buck. And so, whether it's participating in the vehicle bid, fuel oil bid, we have a number of others. We're looking into providing a bid for police equipment and fire equipment. So whether it's the uniforms for officers or other things that they need, we're looking to see if that's something we might be able to do. Our best ideas, Brian, come from people that are thinking, hey, how can we maybe save some money here? So, finance committees are sitting around, they're going through each individual community budget, they're trying to figure out how to save even $10.
Sure.
Maybe participating in a Plymouth County bulk purchasing program would be a way to save money.
That's a great idea. Let's get into one that's kind of interesting to us here, even at PACTV, the nonprofit.
Yeah, so it was great. We were sitting here doing one of our shows, and I was talking about one of our programs. I can't remember which one. And Julie had said, boy, do you think you could do something like that for nonprofit organizations? Right. I said, we might be able to. I'm going to have to check. I don't want to commit to something we can't do. I said, what would PACTV possibly need bulk purchasing for? And she mentioned that one of your expenses are batteries for your cameras.
That's right.
I didn't realize how expensive those really were. And that's a significant component of your budget. And so we checked with our administrator, Frank Basler. And by the way, if people want to call him and find out if there's a program that we could begin for them, he'd be the person to go to. Checked with Frank Basler. He did his research. He did his homework. He checked with all the folks that we needed to check with and came back and said, yeah, that's something we can do for you. I know that Julie and the team here were real excited about that.
Definitely.
I think they're talking to other public access programs in the area because here's where we effectuate the economies of scale. You reach out to the other ones that are surrounding and say, how many do you think you're going to use in a year? The great thing about a battery is it's not going to go bad over the course of 3 or 4 months. You could purchase ahead.
Right, and we use so many rechargeable batteries, but they're expensive as heck. So what a great concept. What a great idea. And, it's nice to know we've got bean counters out there counting the beans, making it all worth our time.
Well, the great thing about where I am as a Plymouth County Treasurer, I can see the financial advantage of what we're doing and the savings that we provide to our communities. And so while the term bean counter sometimes has a derogatory part to it, we really see the benefit of being able to save even pennies for our communities.
I meant it in the most polite way.
I knew that you did. I knew that you did.
Well, thanks so much for joining us this morning.
We can't talk about any of our other programs.
We're just about out of time here. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
And thank you for watching. If you want to see the show again, you can check out our website, and PCN is also on YouTube. Be sure to follow us on Twitter and like us on Facebook to get up-to-date info. We'll see you next week with a brand new PCN and PCN Life.